Hello, all, and thank you for joining us today for this session on entrepreneurship given by Ms. Dina Shabib, who is the CEO and Managing Director of Ittijah Coaching and Consulting, as well as Farahi. She is an experienced founder with demonstrated a history of working in educational management industry and entrepreneurship. I give you the floor, Ms. Dina.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm really excited to be here with you. Thank you so much, Ola, for that introduction. So my session today, the slides should be up in a minute, is going to be about entrepreneurship. Is entrepreneurship for me? As we are going through this hackathon, as you guys are attending all these amazing sessions, some of you might have some really cool ideas that you might be thinking you would like to implement into a business, or maybe find a partner and be in a business, or maybe you think you have a great idea, but you don't know how to actually bring it to life. So this is something that we're going to be tackling in this conversation today. Also, there we are, my camera's on. Also, I want to urge you guys to please ask questions as I'm going along. Put your comments in the comments box. I want this to be interactive. I'm going to be asking you some things. I'm going to be going through some questions, and I want your opinion on some of these things, because I do want to address your specific concerns, as the topic of entrepreneurship is a huge topic, and we can go on and on for hours, if not days, on it. However, we only have a short amount of time today, so I want to try and answer as much of what is to your concern as possible. So with that said, let's go on to the next slide. I'll introduce myself really quickly. My name is Dina Shabib. I'm the founder and CEO of Ittijah Coaching and Consulting. We are a social enterprise that focuses on human capital development, particularly youth development. I am a certified business and career coach. So I help businesses grow, I help businesses start, I help entrepreneurs get their ideas up and running. I have an MBA in operations management, and I'm the host of a podcast that I started earlier this year called Designing Your Life. So maybe I'll also give you a little bit of a quick background about my personal journey into entrepreneurship, just to give you an idea where I'm coming from and what kind of experiences I've gone through. So I started my career working in banking and stock markets and the finance sector. And I was an employee, and I had different jobs in different companies and different organizations, but I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing. I always knew that I wanted to be my own boss, and I wanted to start my own business. I just wasn't sure what that business was going to be. So what I did was I explored, and I tested ideas, and I did feasibility studies, and I did small little experiments while I was employed in my full-time job in order to see what could work, what really interests me, what does the market need, until finally, 11 years ago, I started Ittijah Coaching Consulting, because I wanted to do something that had an impact on people's lives, and I wanted to do something that I felt was needed and beneficial. And at the time, there was very little coaching companies around where I was based. So I got certified as a coach, and I started as a freelancer first to get comfortable with it while I still had my full-time job and my income. And then I started the company. So that's kind of my first entrepreneurship experience. And I've learned a lot in the past 11 years. I've started other businesses. I've started small little things here and there. I've done small projects that I've spun off later on. So I really hope that my experience and what I can add to you guys today will benefit you, at least with one little piece of information that you might be able to take. All right, so with that said, let's go on to the next slide. So entrepreneurship, it's a word that you hear a lot, and I personally love this little picture. I've seen this on Instagram a lot. People put memes on it, and this is basically what entrepreneurship feels like. You know, you're going down a path and you're leading yourself. Of course, there are things you can do to make this journey easier on you and to minimize the risk, and we'll talk a little bit about that in future slides. But basically, entrepreneurship is defined, or an entrepreneur is defined as someone who has the ability and desire to establish, administer, and succeed in starting up some sort of venture with the goal of helping making the world a better place and making profits to help you, live life maybe on your own terms. So to go into a little bit more detail, next slide. So entrepreneurship can be seen in many different ways. You can be a store owner, a physical store owner. You can be an e-commerce owner. I think we've all seen a huge change in the way businesses are run, especially in the last couple of years in the middle of COVID, how people who went from kind of physical interactions, one-on-one, being there in a store or in an office, to being able to also do a little bit, if not all, their operations virtually and online. E-commerce has grown a lot, and it's opened up a lot of avenues for people to look into new methods of bringing in income and new ways of being entrepreneurs. A freelancer is considered a type of entrepreneur. So you could be a freelancer in a certain area that you might have skills or talents or even just very interested in. So some people freelance in their design work, some people freelance as accountants, bloggers, content writers. Some people have their full-time jobs and they're also freelancers in their free time. Some people, and I've seen a lot of students that are doing their education, going to classes, getting their degree, but at the same time, they have a job on the side where they freelance in order to try and make a little bit extra income, doing things that they enjoy. Teaching can also be a way of freelancing. So tutoring, online courses nowadays have become something very popular. Topic of what we're doing this week, app creations, service-based industries, consultancy-based industries, going on and on and on. So really, an entrepreneur isn't necessarily just someone who goes, raises money, and starts a startup. You can be an entrepreneur in many different ways. And sometimes you can be a fully committed 100% to your entrepreneurship project, and sometimes you can be doing something small to accommodate your current lifestyle, maybe your current available free time. If you have other big commitments, such as your university degree, or maybe you have a full-time job that you're not ready to leave, or maybe you have family commitments and you're not ready to be fully committed to your entrepreneurship venture, having something small part-time on the side is still considered an entrepreneurship venture business. And you learn a lot from these small experiences, no matter what they are. So let's go ahead to the next slide and let's talk a little bit about who is an entrepreneur. What would be considered good characteristics for an entrepreneur to have? And some of these you might feel you already have them. Some of them you might feel you don't have them. Sometimes you can work on obtaining some of these skills if you don't have them. Sometimes you might feel that you want to improve them a little bit, so working on them can help you. So some of the good characteristics to have: strong leadership skills. So being able to lead a team. As an entrepreneur, you're going to want to hire people, you're going to want to work with a team. So your ability to lead will help you do better in running your business. Highly self-motivated. And this is something I think that's maybe really underrated, because I've heard a lot of people, come to me in my coaching sessions sometimes and say, I need someone to motivate me. And I think people who need others to motivate them have other things that they're maybe procrastinating or trying to set aside and run away from. Because a lot of times, most of the time, you really do have to motivate yourself. I don't think everybody can be constantly fully motivated and excited about everything they're doing 24/7. Sometimes we start something, it's big, it requires a commitment, it requires a lot of work. I might be hyped and super motivated on, Monday morning, but then maybe by Thursday afternoon, I'm not that excited anymore. I'm tired, I've done a lot, but I still need to get through the week. So figuring out how to find ways to motivate yourself and keep yourself going is a really important skill that you can learn. And if you become good at that, it will really help you through your entrepreneurship journey, as well as really achieving any kind of goal that you want. Another good characteristic is creativity. So creativity is something that is also very helpful, because being able to think outside the box, being able to come up with innovative solutions to problems or challenges is really what entrepreneurship kind of tends to be born out of. Usually an entrepreneur comes up with an idea, which is a solution to a problem, or a better way of doing something, or an easier way of doing something, or a creative way to make people's lives easier in whatever process or area that you might be an expert in. So creativity is also a good idea to try and nurture. And I know people say, well, I'm not a creative person. And there are ways to get creative. If you're under a lot of stress, if you don't give yourself enough kind of alone time and quiet time, you don't leave space for your mind to really go deep and relax and come up with ideas. So there's actually a science to how you can get more creative. Willingness to fail. And I think this is something that is really key, because not everything you do is going to work out. And sometimes in your journey to achieving whatever kind of goal you want, however your entrepreneurship goal might be, there are challenges on the way. There are things that get in your way. There are things that don't go as planned. And sometimes you might fail. Small failures happen very often, small little hiccups and bumps. And if you kind of, get sad about it and kind of get in your head and say, okay, well, I can't do this, it's not going to work out, so I'm just going to stop, then you're never going to move forward. So failure can actually be an amazing learning experience if you look at it from that perspective. Look at what you did, look at how you can improve it, look at how you can avoid falling into the same mistakes again, and then it's not really a big failure anymore. Another one is innovation. So having that innovative mindset. Sometimes a competitive spirit helps people. They want to be the best in their industry. They want to be the first in their industry. And that's a push, that's a motivator for some people. Not everyone. Some people don't really care about competition. So again, it kind of depends on what kind of person you are. And also networking. Networking can really be very beneficial. And I don't mean networking from the perspective of wasta, if you guys are all Arabic speakers. I mean networking in the sense that being able to know where to go to get certain information that you need. So everybody, we don't know everything. And we might jump into an idea, jump into a business that we want to start. And there's a lot that we still need to learn. And that's not a problem, because in this day and age, you can really learn anything you want on your own for the most part, if you put the time and dedication to it. There's a lot of resources online, but then also being able to think about, how do I connect with the right people? How do I connect with the right groups? How do I connect with the right entities to fill the gap that I am lacking, to kind of fill in the information that I need to find out, to connect me to the right people, to connect me to the right resources. So this is something that is also a good characteristic to have, really being resourceful and being able to build your network. Most of us are not, we don't graduate high school with an amazing network. We need to work at it. We need to go out there and understand, what exactly do I need and what are the steps that I need to take in order to get there. And these are just some characteristics. I'd actually love to hear if you have any other suggestions. Anything else that you think would be a good characteristic? And I would actually like to hear, what characteristics do you feel that you have? Okay, so somebody's saying, I think wasta is the most powerful communication. I mean, yes and no, because sometimes, and I'm talking about experience also, you might be connected to the right people, but if you don't know what to ask, and if you don't have the right information, and if you don't know how to follow up with that, and maybe to bring the different entities together, the wasta isn't really going to do much. So I'm going to say yes and no. Anyone else? Any other comments? Any other characteristics that you think? And I mean, I think just to add to that one, I've seen a lot of people and a lot of companies succeed and do amazing work without having any wasta, without having anything like that. But just really knowing what they want to do, being really determined, and of course being innovative and having an interesting idea. All right, so let's go on to the next slide. So let's talk about entrepreneurship and why is it so important? Why do we even care? Why are we doing these hackathons? Why are we doing these events? Why are we attending these sessions? What's so important about entrepreneurship? Well, first of all, entrepreneurs create jobs. So if you're an entrepreneur and you start a business and you start a company and you're, working in a certain city, you're creating jobs in that city. And the more your company grows, the more you're hiring people. So you are giving back to society in that way, and you're helping people, have jobs. Entrepreneurs are usually pretty innovative, so they do try and come up with solutions and ideas and companies or apps or whatever it is that they're doing to solve problems or to make things easier or for shortcuts. I mean, a few years ago, we didn't have delivery apps. If you wanted to order something from McDonald's, you had to go drive to McDonald's, maybe go through the drive-through if you don't feel like going inside. Or if you had your own personal driver, you could send the driver. Otherwise, your only way of actually getting that food is for you to personally go over there and get it. How now there's a handful of apps that you can order from any different kind of restaurant or cafe or food outlet that you want. So that's made our lives a lot easier. We maybe made us a little bit more, I'm going to say, we might order more than we need. Maybe sometimes it's okay not to go to McDonald's or order it, but that's another topic. Anyway, what else? Creating change. Entrepreneurship is one of the big bases of creating change. Going back to the app example, that changed the way food is being delivered. That changed the way these restaurants operate. It's no longer super important that you have a beautiful location in a prime plaza that you're paying really high rent for your customers to be able to access your product being the food. If we're talking as a restaurant, there's a lot of restaurants that are now opening from small little satellite kitchens, and they serve amazing food and they deliver right to your home. So they keep their overhead costs super low, but they're still able to reach their audience and to reach their customer through the use of all these apps. Entrepreneurs are giving back to society as well. You have a lot of really cool ideas that are social enterprises, as well as just the type, most entrepreneurs tend to want to provide something that they are passionate about. And some of these businesses are social enterprises. Some of them are just a solution to help make people's lives better. What about anything else that I missed? Anything you think? Like, why do you think entrepreneurship is so important? I'd like to hear from you guys. Any comments, any notes? All right, let's jump to the next slide. And feel free to answer me later as well. Okay, so this question, and I get asked this question a lot, and this is a controversial question, and it's been discussed many times. Can anyone be an entrepreneur? Can anyone be an entrepreneur? Can I wake up one day and say, okay, I have a great idea, I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Is that possible? Or do you think some people don't have what it takes? I would love to see your votes. So if you can vote, I'd like to know how many people think yes, anyone can be an entrepreneur, and how many people think no, not anyone can be an entrepreneur. I'll give you guys a quick minute for this. Okay, can we see the results? All right, so we have, oh, what was that? Can you put that back? That went really quickly. Okay, so we have about 40% that said yes and 60% that said no. Okay, this is really interesting. So you guys are telling me that most of you think that no, not anyone can be an entrepreneur. All right, well, this is exciting for me because I'm going to tell you later on what you can do. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I would like your feedback on this. So those of you who voted yes, I'd like you to tell me why you said yes. Why do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur? And for those of you who said no, I'd like you to tell me why do you think that no, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go through your answers, and I just want to kind of play devil's advocate and see what are the maybe objections, or what are the things that you feel are in the way if you said no, and what are the things that you feel are the reasons that anyone can be an entrepreneur. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes, and I'd like to see some answers in the chat, please. You can write in English or you can write in Arabic, it doesn't matter. And even if you didn't vote, if you didn't have time to vote, because sometimes the poll goes up, too soon. Ahmed says anyone can be anything in this world. Actually, it's all about your mentality, and you're the only one who can do this. And I actually agree with you 100%, Ahmed, definitely. And specifically on the word mentality, I think entrepreneurship and really any other goal that you want to achieve, it's all in your mind. I think the biggest challenge or the biggest barrier that most of us have is our own thoughts. So if you think you can't, then you won't. And if you think you can, then you probably have a really good chance to get to it. Adria is saying everyone can be creative. I completely agree. And creativity is something that's very subjective. There's different kinds of creativity. Some people are creative in music. Some people are creative in their writing. Some people are creative with their ideas. Some people are creative in finding interesting and fast ways to do something that is done in a certain standard way normally. So there's different kind of creativity. And one of the things that actually about creativity, when I do coaching for younger students, not younger students, but we do a lot of career coaching for high school students to try and help them determine what they want to be when they enter into university. We also do this for university students as well as graduates, but it's primarily done for high school students to help them identify what do you want to do, what do you want to study. And sometimes there are certain careers that require creativity or that flourish if you have creativity. And certain people think, no, but I'm not creative. Because I think some of us have been brought up to think that creativity is just about, am I artistic? Can I draw? Can I paint? Can I do something like this beautiful wallpaper behind me? This is not the only type of creativity there is. There's a lot of different kind of creativity out there. And I think just having an open mind and thinking of it from that perspective will help you see that you might actually be able to do things that you might not thought you were able to do. Mayar here said no. So you're one of the people that thinks no because it requires innovation and not everyone has that capability. Also, some choices might require some risk and not all people can take that step. I completely agree with you. People have different levels of what they consider acceptable risk. Not everyone is comfortable with the same amount of risk. So that's definitely a point to consider. But then also about the innovation. That's definitely something to consider as well. However, I think maybe if you go back to what I just mentioned about how creativity and innovation, I think we're all innovative in some way. I think it's just about, and we've done this has been proven through classes. There are classes that teach you design thinking. There are classes that teach you innovation. There are classes that teach you how to think outside the box. So some people might naturally wake up every morning and have amazing ideas, and others might have to go through certain processes to be able to come up with these ideas. But both of them at the end of the day could probably come up with amazing, innovative ideas. So I think it's not that people lack innovation and creativity, rather you might not know how to tap into the way you are able to come up with your innovative and creative ideas. And there's classes on this and there's books on this and you can read up on it, and there's a lot of things to help you if you want to try and be more innovative and more creative. Okay, no risk, no return. Ahmed. Yes, there is definitely. But again, if we look at the topic of risk, there are always things that you can do to minimize the risk. Having a good plan, doing an MVP, testing your idea, all these things will help you minimize the risk and feel more comfortable about what you're going into. Not to say there's no risk. There's risk in everything that we do. You might be studying, a degree in accounting, thinking that this is the most secure job. And then when you graduate a year later, some software comes up that eliminates all people in accounting. And every company needs to just download the software and you never need to hire an accountant again in your life. And the world is moving towards that. Not this fast. And sorry to any accountants that I might be scaring, but there's risk in everything. So it's just, what's the perceived risk to you, and what kind of backup plans and planning have you done to try and minimize the risk that you're going to be taking, no matter what it is that you're doing. Okay, what was the next comment? I'm glad to see you guys are writing out comments because I have lost my place. Okay, Rada said no because it needs a lot of commitment and high sacrifice. Okay, now these are choices though, right? Commitment is a choice. We all have committed to certain things. Maybe I have committed to sleeping till 12 o'clock every day and I enjoy that and I'm happy with that and that's okay. But maybe if I wanted to do something different, I would have to wake up really early and I'd have to commit to that. So again, it's a choice. So maybe your personal preference has chosen other things as more important and higher priority. So you don't want to commit to something like this. And it's very valid. It's not always something that people are ready for. But then a university degree is a commitment as well, right? So going to school for 4 years, that's a commitment when you start. You probably want to finish. Otherwise, you know, you've wasted a few years of your life. So I think it's just about what your level of priorities are, and choosing what do I want to commit to and what am I going to give up. Hamed's saying, in my opinion, everyone has different interests and life circumstances. Very true. And I see that as a general point, and I think that applies to both. If you want to, that you can be an entrepreneur, it's just a matter of, is that something that's interesting to you? So thank you for that input. And then we have someone saying, I said, yes, I think, might be wrong. If I believe in something and have required resources to make it come to life, I don't think it might be a problem. And there can always be help in improving the idea. Definitely, I agree 100%. Thank you for that, Mohammed. And then comment, I think it's easy now to be an entrepreneur because we now have all the means of communication. Yes, I definitely agree that it's become a lot easier because of all the resources that we have. Like I mentioned, you can really you can do so much from the comfort of your home in front of your computer. You can market to people, you can open YouTube channels, you can do a lot of digital work. So yes, it has become a lot easier to get things off the ground, which is why we're able to have this conversation virtually right now. And I hope that you guys are going to learn at least one thing by the end of this conversation, even though I didn't have to go physically to a hall at the university and you guys all come physically to a hall in the university and we have this conversation. Kareem is saying it's basically the same as asking, can anyone be a doctor? Can anyone be a pilot? Can anyone be a CEO? Can anyone live abroad? Okay, yes, I guess I agree with you. So it comes down to, do you want to do it? And are you willing to set a priority for it and commit to it? Okay. Thank you guys. I really loved seeing all your comments. So basically, I think maybe kind of what we take out of this little conversation and everybody's comments is that I think if you want to do it, you can do it. At least that's how I see it. If you want to prioritize it, if you want to commit to it, then there are ways. And I'm going to talk to you in a couple of slides about how we can make this journey a little bit easier. So let's go on to the next slide. And okay, so if you feel that you have what it takes and you want to, I guess want is a very important thing, right? You want to commit to it, you want to take this this leap, this project. What do you need to do? Or if you think you might be interested in entrepreneurship and you have an idea, but you think that you lack a few of the things that you might feel are important to help you with this journey and to help you move forward, what can we do? So let's go on to the next slide. So I have a few tips. And again, this is not like a full list, but these are just a few things to help you guys understand and maybe get some ideas what it is that can help you in this journey and maybe solve some of your challenges that you might think you have. So first and foremost, and this might be, you know, something counterintuitive, but getting a partner. So a lot of these projects and in our current application process, we've actually asked you guys to have at least 2 people on a team because we want you to have a partner in this project, in your idea. So having a partner, and usually it's advisable to look for a partner that has strengths that you don't have, so that you guys complement each other. And I'm saying partner, but it could be more than one partner. So a lot of startups, a lot of successful startups, you'll see there's a couple of co-founders, maybe 2 or 3. They share the load. They're typically different in their backgrounds. You'll have one person who's really into tech, for example, another person who might be specialized in marketing, and then someone else who's great at operations and kind of managing everything and dealing with maybe back end and operations. So partners are great. You have to, it's not very easy to find a partner because you do want to look for certain things. You need to be able to get along. You need to be able to have kind of a similar mindset. You need to have the same goal and the same ideas. And be aligned and be able to have conversations and communicate well. But if you're able to find a partner that you feel you mesh with and complements you, then that's a really good step, really good first step, something that you should address maybe towards the earlier stages of your business to helping you move forward. Another tip is accelerators and business incubators. I'm sure you guys have heard of accelerators. We have with us Flat 6 Labs. As an accelerator that's going to be hosting one of the sessions, I believe today. I can't remember when their session is. It's on the schedule. And there are other accelerators and business incubators. And for those of you who might not know what they are, they're basically organizations that are there to support startups. So as a startup or as a business idea, sometimes the accelerators and incubators, they come there. There's different types for different stages of the business. Some of them can help you when you just have an idea. Some of them require that you actually have a product and you've just started so there's different stages and different types, but basically what they do is they help you to grow by providing you with education on specific areas, how to market, sales, pricing your product, different things. Some of them provide funding as well. So they will actually invest a small amount in your business. So they'll become a shareholder. They will help you with network. So depending on what you need, they might help connect you with different entities that will help you and support you to grow and get to wherever you want. There are fellowships and grants, which is also a little bit similar. They sometimes support with funding, networking, and other resources as well. And these are either country and city focused or sometimes region focused, and they're international. So do your research, understand what's out there for your kind of business and for your location, and you might find a lot of support out there. And then of course, just like basic reading and learning, buy a book, get recommendations, go online, research whatever topics you feel that you need to be better at. There's so much free learning content out there today. And there's so much really cheap, amazing content out there today that I think this should not even really be an issue at this point because of how digital everything has become. Audiobooks, masterclasses online, all of that, amazing resources. And then another one, if you can't necessarily find partners that complement you, we always advise that you hire your weaknesses or outsource that. So if you are starting a business and you know that you're horrible with numbers and accounting, make sure you hire an accountant from day one, or make sure that you outsource, you get an accounting firm that can help you with your accounting work, so that you don't have to think about it, you don't have to worry about it, and you know that someone who is an expert in that area is actually taking over for you. Then we have mentors. Mentors, I think, is something that is so underutilized. Mentors are amazing. Mentors are basically people who have expertise in areas that you or your business is looking for or needs, and they kind of help. They help you by giving you a small amount of their time every month or quarter, however it ends up being. So I might say, like, I personally have mentored startups, and we'll have an agreement. I will have a 1-hour session with you once a month. So in that 1 hour, you need to ask me everything you want to ask me. You need to tell me everything you want to tell me. And I'm not going to solve any problems for you, but I'm going to put you in the right direction. So I might say, oh, okay, there's a great book on this. It's called blah, 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 blah. Go read it. It'll help you. And, basically things like that, help you from their own experience. A lot of people are happy to be mentors, especially in the startup scene. There's a lot of mentors that really just want to help out smaller businesses and startups and share their experiences. And, so it's there for you. You just need to be looking in the right place. Accelerators typically will help with that as well. They'll help connect you to mentors. The university sometimes helps connect you to mentors. A professor can be a mentor. A family member can be a mentor sometimes too. So do your research and know what kind of mentor you want and what kind of mentor will really add value before you approach that person and ask them for their time. And then there's business coaches. So business coaches, a little bit similar to mentors, only they're usually paid. So they're a consultant or a coach that helps businesses grow. We do that. So I'm a business coach. I help businesses scale. I help startups with getting their ideas off the ground. And again, it depends on what they need, and we agree on a certain number of sessions, whether it's weekly, monthly, however however they want, and that's one way to do it. Then there's the concept of entrepreneurship. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. This has been, I mean, it's not that new, but I think it's really cool. So entrepreneurship is typically a lot of organizations, especially large organizations such as, I know Emirates Airlines has done this. I think DHL has done this. They have kind of a mentality within their organization where they have a little bit of a startup group. So they allow, Google does this as well, they allow their employees to try and be, and they empower them actually, to be innovative within their own organization and come up with small startups and businesses and ideas to help make this business better, or their industry, or whatever their parameters are. And sometimes, you know, the employee will leave to successfully run this business. And they're usually very happy with that because at least they're part of it. They might be investors. The solution might be linked to their industry, so it's helping them anyway. So if you are interested in that, maybe look for organizations that have that kind of structure, and it's a good place to test your ideas. And then, of course, there's a lot of startup government support programs, depending on what different government entities, public universities, such as this program. This hackathon right now is considered a support program. They happen all the time. You just need to be kind of following your industry and the startup scene to see where you can jump in and take advantage of opportunities that might be helpful to you. All right, next slide. So I'm going to do this exercise really quickly because I want to jump to Q&A. So what I'd like you guys to do, if you have an idea, write it down. This is private. I'm not going to ask you to share. This is just for you. Even if you have an idea that you think is far-fetched, or you think it's not fully thought through, or you think, oh, this is not going to work, or you think I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 before I can even start this, I would like you to write down the idea, take out a piece of paper or open your phone notes and write this down. I want you to write 2 things. I want you to write down the idea, whatever it is. I want to build a spaceship, whatever you want to do. And then number 2, I want you to list down what are the challenges that you think are in your way. Even if you've started this, you might still have some challenges, or if you haven't started it and you're worried, I'd like you to list down at least 2 challenges. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to do this, please. If you'd like to share, that'd be amazing. But if you don't want to share, it's okay. I want you guys to do this for yourselves as just a private note for yourselves. All right. Now, I want you to take a look at your list. I want you to take a look at your idea, and I want you to think, and you won't come up with answers right now because we don't really have all the time, but I want you to think about what do you need to do and what do you need to be? And when I say be, I mean that because a lot of it is a mindset thing. So what do you need to change in your mindset? What do you need to become? What do you need to maybe overcome as a block in order to move forward with this? So think about that. I'd like you to think about this later today. When you're done with all your sessions, take this paper, look at it, and think about how you can move forward and overcome these challenges. All right, let's go to the next slide. And actually, that's a wrap. I wanted to leave a little bit of time for questions. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, this is all my contact information. If you guys want to reach me, if you have any ideas that you want to kind of bounce around and see, I'm happy to give you quick feedback. I have a lot of cool content on the podcast, so please feel free to go listen to some of the podcast episodes. They might be helpful to kind of organizing yourself, getting motivated. I try and put content out on that because I feel that that's maybe the first step to really getting to wherever you want to get to. But I do have one question for you guys. Have you learned, who has learned one like useful thing today? If you've learned one useful thing, can you raise your hand, please? There's a raise hand button in the bottom. I would just like to see if anyone here has learned at least one thing that you feel you can take with you in, whether it's in your entrepreneurship journey or really in your day-to-day. So, okay, that's good, because it makes me happy to see some of these hands up. Any questions, guys? Any questions, any comments? Anything you want to share? Anything you want to ask? Let us know. I think we have about 5 minutes. How many of you have either submitted their application for the hackathon or are in the process of putting it together? Do we have ideas that are being submitted? We're seeing some cool applications coming across, but I'm just curious if any of you guys have submitted your idea. Okay. So I don't see any questions in the Q&A, and I don't see any new comments. So if you guys don't have any questions, thank you so much for your attention, for your interaction. I really loved your comments and your perspective on why or why not someone can be an entrepreneur. And I wish you all the luck in your future as an entrepreneur, or not if you choose not to. And enjoy the rest of the sessions. So have a nice day, guys. Thank you very much.